I tried to make my mother's lasagna yesterday. I failed. Not because I can't cook, but because I couldn't read the recipe through my tears. This recipe book has been sitting in my kitchen for 8 months, since the day after her funeral. I hadn't opened it once. Yesterday, I finally did, and on page 47, between the ingredients for her famous lasagna and the baking instructions, my mother had written something I was never supposed to see while she was alive, something that changed everything I thought I knew about the last 5 years of her life. But before I tell you what it said, you need to understand what this book meant to her and what it should have meant to me. My mother kept this recipe book for 32 years. Started it the year I was born, brown leather cover, worn at the edges, pages stained with olive oil and tomato sauce. And God knows what else. Every recipe in it was handwritten, her handwriting which got shakier as the years went on, but never stopped being hers. Recipes she'd inherited from her mother. Recipes she'd clipped from magazines. Recipes she'd invented at 3 in the morning when she couldn't sleep. And every Sunday, for most of my childhood, she'd pull out this book and cook something from it. The kitchen would smell like garlic and basil and butter. She'd stand at the stove, book propped open on the counter, flour on her hands, humming to herself. "Come help me," she'd say. "I'm busy, Mom. It'll only take a minute. I want to show you how to make the sauce. I don't need to know emails. I can just order pizza." She'd laugh. But it wasn't a happy laugh. It was the laugh you make when something hurts but you don't want to show it. "Someday you'll want to know," she would say quietly, "and I want to always be here to show you." "Mom, you're being dramatic." I said that to her probably 100 times. "You're being dramatic." "I'll learn later. I can just Google recipes." I never learned, not once. Not a single recipe from that book. And now she is gone and Google can't teach me what she wanted to show me. The last time she asked me to cook with her was 3 years ago. Christmas Eve. She was making her traditional 7-layer lasagna, the one that took 6 hours and used 3 different cheeses and a sauce that had to simmer for 90 minutes. I came into the kitchen. She was already tired. I could see it in her face. She was 68 but looked older that day. Her hands were shaking slightly as she stirred the sauce. "Hey, honey," she said, "perfect timing. Can you help me layer this?" I looked at my phone. My friends were texting. There was a party starting in an hour. "Mom, I really need to get ready to go out. It'll only take 20 minutes, and I want to show you the trick with the ricotta so it doesn't get watery. Can't you just write it down?" She turned to look at me, and there was something in her eyes I didn't recognize then, but I recognize now. Urgency. Fear. Like she was running out of time to tell me something important. I have written it down at ES in the book, but some things you need to feel, not just read. The texture of the cheese, the way the layers should look, "Mom, I really have to go." She nodded slowly, turned back to the stove. "Okay, have fun at your party." I left, didn't even try the lasagna when it was done. Grabbed a slice of pizza on my way to the party instead. That was the last time she made that lasagna. 3 months later, she was diagnosed. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months after that, she was gone. After the funeral, my aunt packed up most of my mother's things, asked me what I wanted to keep. I took some photos, some jewelry, and the recipe book. "She'd want you to have this," my aunt said, handing it to me. She talked about it a lot near the end. "What do you mean?" She kept adding to it. Even when she was too sick to cook, she'd sit in bed with this book and write. I looked at the book. It felt heavier than it should have. "Writing what?" My aunt's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know, she wouldn't let me see, said it was for you." I brought the book home, put it on my kitchen counter, and there it sat. For 8 months, I'd walk past it every day. Sometimes I'd touch the cover, but I never opened it. Because I knew what I'd find. Recipes I never learned in handwriting I'd never see again. Proof of every time I said later and meant never. I wasn't ready for that guilt. Yesterday was her birthday, would have been her 69th. I woke up and the first thing I thought was, she should be here. I went to the kitchen, made coffee, sat at the table, stared at the recipe book. And something in me broke. Or maybe something in me finally had the courage to face what I'd been avoiding. I opened it. The pages smelled like her kitchen, like garlic and rosemary and old paper. And something else I can't name. Something that was just her. The first recipe was chicken soup, written in 1991, a month after I was born. At the bottom, in parentheses, it read, "First meal I made after bringing my son home. He slept through the whole cooking process." I smiled, turned the page on spaghetti carbonara. Made this the night he said his first word. The word was more. Just chocolate chip cookies. He helped me make these when he was 4, ate half the dough. Worth it. Every recipe had a note, every single one. Little memories attached to food moments I didn't even remember, but she'd preserved in the margins of recipes. I kept turning pages, kept reading, kept realizing this wasn't just a recipe book. It was a timeline of my entire life and told through food. Then I got to the recipes from the last 5 years after she got sick. The notes changed. Next to the pot roast recipe. "If you're rereading this, I am probably gone. This was your father, his favorite. Make it for him sometimes. He won't ask, but he'll need it." Next to the birthday cake. 3 layers, 1 for the past, 1 for the present, 1 for the future. Donati skipped the future layer, even when it is hard to imagine. Next to the pasta primavera. "This is the first recipe my mother taught me. I'm sorry I never taught it to you. I kept waiting for you to have time. I should have made you make time, that S on me, not you." My hands started shaking. These weren't just recipes anymore, and they were messages, instructions for living hidden in instructions for cooking. I kept turning pages, faster now, looking for more. Beef stew, low and slow, that as the secret, you cannot rush good things. Apple pie, your grandmother's recipe. She made this the day before she died, like she knew, maybe we always know. Chicken masala. This takes patience. Everything good does. She wasn't just leaving me recipes. She was leaving me lessons, disguised as cooking instructions, hidden where she knew I'd eventually look when I finally got hungry enough for something that tasted like home. Then I got to page 47, the lasagna, her 7-layer lasagna, the one she would try to teach me that Christmas Eve, the one I'd been too busy for. The recipe was there, written in her careful handwriting, every ingredient, every measurement, every step. But at the bottom, where there should have been cooking time and temperature, there was something else. A letter. "My darling boy, if you were reading this, you've finally opened the book. I wondered if you would, I wondered if maybe I should have just told you everything directly, instead of hiding it in here like a treasure hunt. But I know you'd done it like serious conversations. You'd done it like talking about feelings or death or time running out. So I hid what I needed to say, in a place I knew you'd eventually look, when you got hungry enough, when you missed me enough, when you finally wanted to taste home again. This lasagna takes 6 hours to make. I know that seems like a lot. I know you were busy. I know you have a life that doesn't include spending an entire Saturday in the kitchen, but here is what I learned, and what I hope you will learn too. The best things in life take time. They can to be rushed. They can to be ordered on an app. They can to be microwaved or substituted or skipped. Love takes time. Healing takes time. Building something that lasts takes time. I spent 32 years building this book and 32 years of Sunday dinners and holiday meals and random Tuesday nights when I just wanted to feed you something made with my hands. I wasn't just feeding your body. I was feeding your memory. I was creating moments that would outlive me. I was teaching you, or trying to teach you, that the act of making food for someone is an act of love. And love, real love, requires you to show up, to be present, to set aside your phone and your plans, and to stand in a kitchen and stir a sauce for 90 minutes, even when your hand gets tired. I'm not angry that you never learned these recipes. Sweetheart, I am not disappointed. I am just sad. Sad that we ran out of time before you were ready to learn. Sad that I won to be there the first time you make this lasagna and it turns out perfect, and you realize you've been carrying this knowledge inside you all along, just from watching me all those years, even when you thought you weren't paying attention, because you were paying attention, maybe not consciously, but some part of you was storing every Sunday dinner, every holiday meal, every time you came home and smelled something cooking and felt safe. Here's the secret, baby. The recipes aren't the point. They never were. The point is that you slow down, you take your time, you use your hands, you create something from scratch, you feed the people you love. The ricotta goes in the second layer, not the first. Use a spoon, not a spatula, so it doesn't tear. Let each layer rest for 30 seconds before adding the next. This is important. Give it time to settle, to become itself. I love you. I loved you every Sunday. I loved you every time I stood at this stove. I loved you every time you said you were too busy, and I nodded and said okay, even though my heart was breaking a little bit. I left you this book because I wanted you to know. You can make these things. You can create moments. You can feed people you love. You can slow down long enough to stir a sauce until it is just right. You don't need me there to do it. You just need to start. First layer, sauce, thin layer, covers the bottom. This is your foundation. Make it strong. All my love, always, Mom. P.S. Add love season to taste. That has the real secret to everything in this book and everything in life. I sat at my kitchen table with that book open in front of me for 20 minutes, maybe longer. I lost track of time. Then I stood up, went to the store, bought everything on the list. 3 kinds of cheese, imported tomatoes, fresh basil. Italian sausage, a bottle of red wine I'd never normally buy. I came home, cleared my schedule, put my phone in another room, and I started cooking. Olive oil in the pan, garlic sliced thin. The smell hit me like a memory I didn't quite know I had. I could see her standing here, could hear her humming. Low heat, she'd written in the margin. Patience. I stirred and stirred and kept stirring. 90 minutes. My hand got tired. I wanted to stop, wanted to turn up the heat, rush it, get it done. But I heard her voice. You can rush good things. So I stirred and I waited. And slowly, the sauce became what it was supposed to be. Then the ricotta, second layer, like she said. I used a spoon, spread it gently, let it rest for 30 seconds before the next layer, and something strange happened. My hands knew what to do, like they'd been watching all those years, storing the information, waiting for me to finally be ready, layer by layer. Sauce, ricotta, mozzarella, meat, repeat, and 3 times. Then the top layer, extra cheese, the way she always did it. 6 hours start to finish, the longest I'd spent cooking anything in my entire life. I put it in the oven, set the timer, and I sat down, and I cried. Not because I was sad, or not just because I was sad, but because I finally understood what she'd been trying to teach me. It wasn't tea about lasagna. It was never about lasagna. It was about showing up or being present, taking time, creating something with your hands that says, I love you, without having to say the words. The lasagna came out perfect. Not good, perfect. Like she'd guided my hands through every step. I took a photo, sent it to my aunt. She called me immediately, crying. She'd be so proud. She said, I should have learned earlier. You learned when you were ready, she said softly. That's what matters. I've been cooking from that book every Sunday since then. 8 months of missed Sundays I'm trying to make up for. Last week I made her chicken soup, the first recipe, the one from 1991 times when I was a month old. At the bottom she'd written, he'll make this someday for his own child and he'll understand. I don't have a child yet. But when I do, I'll make this soup, and I'll pull out this book, and I'll teach them the recipes their grandmother left behind. And I'll tell them, this book isn't about food, it is about time. It's about love, it's about the things we pass down that matter more than money or houses or anything else. It is about standing in a kitchen for 6 hours because someone you love deserves food made with patience. My mother left me 247 recipes in this book. I've made 8 so far. That means I have 239 more Sunday dinners with her. 239 more chances to hear her voice in my head saying, add love, season to taste. The book is stained now with my mistakes, flour fingerprints, a splash of wine on page 63, olive oil on the cover. I used to think I'd ruined it. Now I know I am just adding to it. My story layered onto hers, the way it was always supposed to be. If someone in your life is trying to teach you something and you keep saying later, I'm asking you, how do you learn it now, while they rehear, while their hands can guide yours, while you can still ask questions and get answers? Because recipe books can preserve instructions, but they can preserve the feeling of standing next to someone you love, learning something together, creating something that will outlive both of you. I have the recipes now, but I'd give them all back for one more Sunday in that kitchen with her, for one more chance to say, okay, Mum, teach me. I'm ready now. But she knew. Somehow she knew I'd get here eventually. That S, why she left the book, that S. Why she wrote those notes, that S, why the last page has a recipe with no ingredients listed yet, just a title, something new you will create, and below it, in her handwriting, "This one's yours to write, sweetheart. Make it count." Next time, I'll tell you about something else she left behind, something I found in the back of her closet, something that taught me that the people we love leave breadcrumbs for us to follow long after they re-gone. For now, if you have someone in your life who's trying to teach you something, anything, stop what you were doing, put down your phone and learn it. Not someday, today. Before the only teacher you have left is a book full of notes you can ask questions about. I am making her pot roast this Sunday. I'll let you know how it turns out.